As we gather on this Sunday morning, I'm reminded that last Sunday about this time I was already on the highway making my way to Charleston. As you know, the bishop has assigned me the priest in charge of Calvary in Charleston, and last Sunday was my Sunday at Calvary, and you had Father Michael Burton with you for the 8 o'clock and 10:30 assisting Father Duvall. So on one Sunday of the month, I only have one service to do, but it's a long day because it's about 2.5 hours to start to get down to Charleston and then get set up. And then after that, I have to have vestry meeting. You see, I have vestry meeting on the same Sunday I'm at Calvary. So I have vestry meeting, and then at the end of the day, I take communion to Father Ted Lois, who is the former rector of the parish, who is very ill. He's on dialysis and dealing with a host of health issues. And by the time I'm done with everything in Charleston and make my way back to Myrtle Beach, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. My day is done. It's a long day, but it's work. And I'm excited to be with them, and we are moving forward, and we'll be evaluating this whole process sometime in December. But that's where I was last Sunday with your brothers and sisters at Calvary Church in Charleston. As we gather this morning, Jesus presents us with a parable of the sower who sows good seeds, and then someone comes and sows the weeds. Jesus refers to this one as the evil one, the devil, the enemy, who sows the weed and wants to destroy the crop. And the servants come to him and say, well, you sow good seeds, but we have weeds. Do you want us to go and uproot them now? No. Let them grow together. Let them grow together, and at the harvest time, I will have the separation. We will gather up the weeds, bundle them up, and burn them. And then the wheat will be put into my barn, and I will have feast, if you will. The disciples are listening to Jesus tell this story, and they are troubled. And so as soon as Jesus is by himself, they come to him. Jesus explained this parable to them. What do you mean? And Jesus tells them, the one who sows is the Son of Man. The good seeds are God's children, if you will. The bad seed are the children of the evil one, the weeds, that is. And at the appointed time of the harvest, at the end of the age, the Son of Man will send his angels to gather up all of the causes of sin in the world and the evildoers, and they will be burned in the furnace of fire. And the children of God will shine as the sun, if you will. As I read this text, I'm saying to myself, if the Son of Man is going to send his angels to gather up all the causes of evil, of sin in our world, what will be left? All of the causes of sin and evildoers will be gathered up and burned. What will be left? Would any of us be left? You and I have the seed in us to do some unthinkable things. But for the grace of God, we have not acted on that yet. But not one of us is perfect. And if the angels are going to gather up all the causes of sin, hello, are you looking in the mirror? What do you see? For I am capable of doing some of the unthinkable, and you are capable of doing some of the unthinkable. When I sit and I'm angry with my brother or my sister, when I sit and I participate in conversation that is demeaning to my brother or sister, when the angels come, I will be gathered up to be burned. Where will you be? Our world today is plagued with evil. When someone can shoot down a plane and destroy 298 lives and say, oops, I made a mistake. it's a little too late to say oops. Lives have been destroyed because we cannot get along. We will shoot down what flies. When boys and girls' lives are being destroyed on the street of Chicago, when all around us people are doing evil things, when the angels come, who will be left? Who will be left? You and I sit in this place, but for the grace of God, we can do some things that would just be unthinkable. They say, well, I'm a good person. None of us is born to be bad. But we end up sometimes doing some unspeakable things. In 1928, an Episcopal priest in Charleston, South Carolina, shot and killed an Episcopal bishop in Charleston, South Carolina, because Bishop Gary had the audacity in 1928 to seek racial reconciliation in Charleston. By God, you want black people and white people to sit together in church? An Episcopal priest shot and killed an Episcopal bishop. Right now, today is the last day the show is running in Charleston. The story is being retold at a Dock Theater in Charleston, written by our chancellor. In 1928, the story has not been told because we just cannot think about it. It was a priest. If anyone else, it was a priest that killed a bishop because he wanted black people and white people to sit together. I tell you, each of us have the seed planted in us to do something of the unspeakable. We are told by the doctor who attended Bishop Gary as he was dying. One of the last things that Bishop Gary said as he died, Father, forgive him, for he did not know what he was doing. And then he died. I'm not telling you about another denomination. I'm telling you about the Episcopal Church in South Carolina. Jesus says he will send the angels and they will gather up all of the causes of sin and the evildoers, and they will be burned in the fire of furnace. Would you think that the Episcopal priest would be one of those to be gathered up and burned? What would have caused someone to be so angry? I submit to you. Think about it. For we do not know where the presence of God is, and we live each day. And I admonish us to live each day with the sense that God is where we are, because God is where we are. For there is nowhere where God is not. You can talk to Jacob about that. He had been traveling. He was tired. And he decided, where is the nearest Holiday Inn? Well, there was not one. He was tired and he needed to rest. And so he found a rock and made it into a pillow, put it under his head and went to sleep, trying to get a shut eye to get up the next morning and continue his journey. Lo and behold, he had just set himself up to be greeted by God. And he began to dream and experience God's presence in that place. A place that he least expected God to be, God was. And when Jacob woke, he was given a promise that this will be yours. And he said, my, I never knew the presence of God was in this place. And he called that place the house of God, Bethel. My brothers and sisters, I submit to you, God's presence is in this place. You may not recognize that God is in this place just as much as, you know it, He's in Walmart. God is wherever God's people are. It is not for God to be aware of that. It is for you and me to recognize God is everywhere. So as we live from day to day, as we go about doing our various activities, let us be conscious of how we do that, because God is looking. God is looking. And God sees that which no one else sees, the motive of our actions. I do not know where you are this morning, but this much I know: God knows where you are. And God has something to say to you. Jesus says, at the end of the age, the Son of Man will send his angels to gather up all of the causes of sin and the evildoers, and they will be gathered up and burned in the fire of furnace. Where will you be when that gathering takes place? Where will I be when that gathering takes place? It is my hope and prayer that I will be one of those shining as the sun, because I have tried to live my life before God in such a way that God may be pleased with me. Oh no, I'm not saying I'm perfect. You need to talk to Eugenia about that. She will tell you I'm not perfect. But I'm saying to you this much: I am trying each day in my walk with God to say, Lord, help me. You see how I'm trying to be that person you have called me to be. And yes, I fall and he helps me up again. And then I fall and he helps me up again. That much he keeps doing, because he knows if he doesn't help me up, I'm going to stay down. I do not know where you are, but this much I know: when I look in the mirror, I'm hoping I'm going to see the person that God sees and no one else does. For I can run from everyone else but self. May God help us in our journey with him, that we may live before him in a way that will draw others to him because of our lives. And when all around us is saying otherwise, because we see evil being perpetrated all over the place, whether it is in Eastern Europe, it is in the Middle East, whether it is now brothers and sisters fighting one another, and homes being destroyed, lives being destroyed by Israel or Palestine, whatever. As we see around us violence after violence after violence, may God help us to brighten the corner where we are, so that someone may have a reason to bless God because you have helped to brighten his corner. At the end of the age, Jesus says, the Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather up all of the causes of sin in his kingdom and the evildoers, and they will be burned in a furnace of fire. Help us, God, to shine like the sun, because we are your children. Amen.
Amen.